One of the reasons why a lot of people like MGTOW and the manosphere in general have difficulty being taken seriously is because of this widespread belief that men are privileged. We got all this power and stuff, all the men are CEOs. So why would someone want to be a man going his own way if he has so much power? Why do you need this freedom and personal sovereignty? Aren't those forms of power? Why would you pursue those? Don't you have them already? Because you're the most powerful, privileged person in existence. And we've got more Reddit stuff here. I made a thread on Social Justice 101. So I asked, are women privileged? And I learned a bit about social justice theory, and of course I got the answer, basically, no, they're not. But the comment specifically that I want to be talking about here is my comment. And it's so lengthy, I figured I would just make a video about it. So here we go. I see that in my speech and in society at large, men are often considered default in language. But if we talk about someone, say, hypothetically, we often say he as a gendered pronoun. And now some people are more particular and will say he or slash she. And I think it's a relatively insignificant point. And this is evidence of men's active role as doers in society, as people who get things done, okay? Men, we get shit done. To say this is evidence of privilege, I think is grasping at straws. But that is not my point I want to make. The point I really want to make is, firstly, women do have privileged status within certain institutions or advantages. The most obvious example I can think of is the legal system. Females receive far more lenient sentencing than males on the whole. Even when intervening variables are controlled for, the disparity is so dramatic that it's not just, women commit pettier crimes. When we take an adult male and female committing the same crime, all factors remaining the same, the women get lesser sentencing. If you look into this, you will see this is the case, okay? And family court is the most extreme example. And why? Why is it like this? According to SJW theory that I've become familiar with in this thread, that would really be an advantage, I guess. So, to put it in SJW theory terms, the legal advantages women receive is a symptom of privilege. What is privilege? The privilege that women have is gynocentric privilege. That means that a female is elevated based on her sexual and reproductive capacity. And most of the advantages women receive in life flow from that privilege, the privilege that they were born with. Why do women get custody in 80% of cases? Female privilege. Why do women get alimony? Female privilege. Why do women get child support, even sometimes if the child is not the father's? Female privilege. Why am I a woman's unpaid bodyguard in a dangerous situation? I call that female privilege. Why do I work in death jobs, making up 95% of workplace deaths? Why am I potentially going off to war to die so you can live? I call that female privilege. So, where I stand, it is really the other way around, okay? Because SJW say it's male privilege. Well, I'm saying it's female privilege. So, whilst male and female enjoy advantages, if anyone is privileged, it's the female. And here in SJW theory, they say advantages is a symptom of privilege. It's the behaviors, the acts, and the privilege is the status. So, just to clear that up, some men enjoy power and wealth, prestige and admiration, but what they have, they had to work for it, and if they inherited it, it most likely is traceable to a man's labor at some point. A female is catered for purely on her sexual capacity or reproductive capacity, even only if that's based on potential and not actualized like a man's potential. A man is only respected and advantaged when he actualizes his potential and develops himself. That is not what I'd call privilege, such as having status you were born with. If anyone fits that bill, it's the female. And this is what we call the myth of male power. What we call power in men is really powerlessness. We've convinced men that their powerlessness is actually power. Men convince themselves their powerlessness is actually power. Men themselves did that. And people say, oh, 76 cents on the dollar. And they do it so ignorantly. And when you control for variables such as overtime, sick leave, maternity, paternity leave, public holidays, hours of work, self-promotion, contract negotiation, etc., you find that typical Western salary for a woman is 96 cents on the dollar. And if you compare single women and single men around age 30, the women earn more money. And this is what we call the wage gap myth. But look at married men compared with married women, and you'll see a difference in salary. Generally, upon marriage, and especially childbirth, men increase their workload, whilst women decrease theirs. Studies show around 85% of women would prefer to work part-time or not at all. In fact, there's a study in Australia found the majority of women are happiest when their husband is working full-time and she is working part-time or not at all, and that's self-reported data. On the other hand, 50% of men say they would like to be at home with their children more often, so work a bit less, spend more time at home. But married man with children, right? What is his options? For married women, their options are work full-time, don't work at all, or a combination of both. And for a man, your options are work full-time, work full-time, work full-time. And you notice I'm drawing a lot from Dr. Warren Farrell's book, The Myth of Male Power here. So, and it would be nice if we could be progressive and stay at home fathers, have some of that, but unfortunately, this is a surefire way to destroy your marriage and your family by staying at home if you're a man. Because, you see, divorces are 40% higher in families where the female is the primary income earner. And this is on top of the standard 50% divorce rate. And with a standard initiation rate of 70% of divorces by women, you can imagine the rate of divorce initiation for primary income earning women. It would be something like 89%. So, the man is obliged to work. And he is working not only to advance himself, but his family. And he is doing this sacrificially for his family. Is that what you call power? His payment or his reward is love. Perhaps in the form of sex and intimacy from his wife, maybe love from his children. And who pays him to love? He is sacrificing his time for his family, his money for his family, even his life for his family. Even he might have to sacrifice his life for his country. If social justice warriors and feminists really believed risking your life to die for your country is such a great form of power, they would have lobbied for equality in military conscription, which is the draft, long ago. Instead, with a lot of legislation in America coming soon, actually, of bringing equality regarding the draft, that is, draft for men and women of adult age, social justice warriors and feminists, they seem to be resisting that. And it looks like you don't believe your own shit. That there is nothing empowering to you personally sacrificing your life, maybe on the battlefield. And to this day, we're yet to have equality in the dead professions, such as military or more trade-based jobs. So men sacrifice their life expectancy and they lower it to elevate women based on their privilege status, that is, woman's privilege status, which is based on their golden vagina. And men these days live about 7 or 8 years less than women, that is in developed countries, compared with just 1 year difference in the 1920s in USA, or maybe a few years difference, maybe 1 to 3 years in poorer developing countries in this day and age. And this is because the more civilized and technological we become, the more women benefit. And you said men sacrificing their lives for others is a form of power. Bit of a joke, isn't it? In the late 1800s, women worked more than they did in the early 1900s, and they encouraged their men to work hard, and the suburban life was a dream that men helped make come true for women. But they were bored or something, and they said, look how bored I am. My husband is so privileged, so advantaged, so he's got this high position at work, and he's got to slave away for 50, 60 hours a week to provide this house for me. And in return, all I got to do is cook, clean, and love. But I'm so bored, and I want to be a wage slave too. Wouldn't that be great? And look what happened. Now women are miserable. They're less happy than before because being a wage slave is shit. Okay, it's ironic. It's the irony that men forged civilization through their sweat for women to enjoy, for women to reap the benefits, and they slaved and sacrificed their life, time, money, life expectancy, health, and they did this quite selflessly, all for some honor or perception of nobility, or to fulfill some kind of primal instinct like an ape. And all we wanted was a little bit of respect. Generally, most men were happy being slaves to others. But then society told us, get fucked, you misogynist pig. And now we are fucking off. We're going our own way. You ruined it, You made a shitty deal, and you took that shitty deal, you made it shit beyond comprehension. And you tried to call the powerlessness of male power, power. And you tried to call the power of woman powerlessness. So most men were happy being slaves. Now our hand has been forced and we're walking away. Probably what has been done cannot be undone, at least not very easily. And all this social justice warrior nonsense about male privilege and female oppression is really not helping. The reality is, in the past, everyone was oppressed. We were oppressed by nature in the fight for survival. And through necessity, men took up their role as provider and protector, and women as nurturer and domestic maintainer. Now, if anything, the scale has been tipped in favor of women, and hypergamy is rampant. But, it's like someone made a joke that, being a provider and a protector is power. And then someone else joked, oh yeah? Being a nurturer and a domestic provider is powerlessness. And, everybody laughed. But then someone took them seriously, and we had feminism, and then social justice warriors, and now intersectional feminism, and now we're all fucked. So this is indeed an accusation against MGTOW, and perhaps an important one because fundamentally it's an accusation made against all men, and that is that we are the privileged half of the species. And this belief, this myth, is really one of the main things that prevents men's rights and things like that being given any traction, because how can the oppressor be oppressed? And when people like MGTOW say the world is gynocentric and females are privileged, people have a hard time believing that, because I would say they have been indoctrinated. So I guess if you ever come across these arguments, you're a MGTOW, but you're a man, you're so privileged, what could you possibly have to protest or complain about? Well, I think some of the points that are raised here would be very relevant for that.